You've paid it before, even if you didn't notice. A smile you didn't mean, a laugh that wasn't real, emotional effort just to keep the peace. This is the smile tax, the hidden cost of being nice. And nowhere is it more visible than in the White Lotus, where kindness manipulates, politeness masks power, and fake smiles become the currency in a quiet war of status. Status isn't just about money, it's who gets to speak and who gets ignored, who interrupts whom, who adjusts. Power isn't always loud, sometimes it's just who gets to feel comfortable and who feels anxious. In both humans and primates, hierarchies reduce chaos. They help us organize access to resources, safety, and mates. In the White Lotus, dominance isn't expressed with violence. It's expressed with subtle control, interruptions, tone, timing, who must smile and who gets to explode. Guests operate on a prestige status. Staff survive through dominance avoidance, an ancient social strategy. We're wired to scan for status cues constantly. If someone interrupts you or takes up more space, your body reacts even before you notice it. This is dominance math, and your nervous system has been doing it since before language even existed. Interrupting isn't just rude, it's a status move, it's a dominance signal, and our brains track it automatically. Studies show that high-status individuals interrupt more often, and their interruptions are seen as assertive. But when someone low-status interrupts, it's often perceived as rude or awkward because it violates the social script. Our nervous systems, especially the amygdala, are constantly scanning for these cues: who gets interrupted, who doesn't, who holds the floor with ease, and who hesitates. These patterns shape unconscious judgments of status. At the same time, mirror neurons push us to sync with dominant people. We match their pace, their tone, even their emotional rhythm. That's why when someone cuts us off, we often shrink back or let them take over without realizing it. But every time you allow it, you're reinforcing the message that your presence is optional. So the strategy is this: don't sync, break the rhythm, slow down when they speed up, finish your thought calmly when interrupted. Hold your gaze a second longer. Let them adjust to you. You're not trying to win a fight. You're retraining their nervous system to see you as someone who doesn't disappear when challenged. Because in every social setting, people are watching, not just what you say, but who's allowed to speak and who gets silenced. Evolutionary psychologists describe two kinds of status: dominance, power through fear, force, or control, and prestige, power through respect, competence, and trust. Dominance commands, prestige attracts. Armand bows to Shane's irrational complaints, not because he agrees, but because dominance avoidance keeps him safe. Smiling, nodding, staying composed, that's not politeness, that's survival. Your nervous system knows when to play along, especially the amygdala, your built-in threat detector. It scans for facial tension, sharp voices, cold silence, and disapproval. The tiniest shift can trigger stress, freeze, or submission. The amygdala, your brain's built-in threat detector, doesn't just respond to physical danger, it responds to social threat, which can be even more subtle. Yes, loud or physically dominant people can trigger that alarm. Big movements, raised voices, fast gestures, those signal potential conflict. But your amygdala also lights up when someone interrupts you, ignores you, or gives you a cold, disapproving look in front of others. These are status threats, and to your brain, social rejection can feel as dangerous as physical harm, because in ancient tribes, being excluded could mean death. The most triggering presence? Someone who's calm, unreadable, and clearly in control. You don't know what they're thinking, and that uncertainty, combined with the status, creates maximum tension. Your body tenses, your speech shifts, and often you react before you even understand why. Your amygdala reacts more strongly if that person holds higher or equal social status. If a stranger at a party ignores you, it stings. But if someone popular or powerful does it, it can throw off your entire mood. The brain doesn't just track actions, it tracks hierarchy. And threat isn't measured by volume or tone alone. It's measured by how much social leverage that person has over you. That's why some people can say something mild, and your nervous system still takes it as a warning. Then come the mirror neurons, your social sync engine. You copy tone, posture, energy without realizing it. You mirror to belong, you match to avoid rejection. But in toxic dynamics, that mirroring becomes a trap. You start syncing to someone who's dominating you, and your body says, "You lead, I'll follow." To take back control, you don't need to fight, you just need to break the rhythm. If they speak fast, slow your voice. If they slouch, straighten your posture. Pause before you answer. Let silence do the talking. It says you don't control the tempo here. When you stop submitting by default, people start adjusting to you. You don't have to be loud or commanding. Someone can be soft-spoken, but emotionally immovable. The brain pauses. Are they weak or powerful? That confusion makes people watch closer and often respect more. Most people mirror others to build connection, but you can choose not to. And when you don't sync with the person trying to dominate you, they feel off balance. You're no longer in their frame, now they're in yours. Sometimes that triggers admiration, other times it triggers hostility. In tribal dynamics, people who don't sync get bullied, tested, or shamed, not always out of cruelty, but to reassert the social order. Call them weird, label them difficult, but deep down everyone is reacting to the same thing. That person didn't yield when they were supposed to. It's unsettling. Entitlement, on the other hand, comes from insulation. If you're constantly rewarded without challenge, your brain starts to assume that's normal. You stop noticing the people serving you. Because evolution taught us to conserve energy, and noticing distress takes energy. Your brain makes up only about 2% of your body weight, but it uses around 20% of your body's total energy. That's a massive amount, especially when you're not even doing anything mentally intense. Most of that energy goes into basic things, like processing your environment, scanning for threats, making social decisions, and managing emotions. That's why evolution taught us to filter out anything that isn't immediately useful. Noticing other people's distress, tracking body language, empathy, emotional nuance, it all takes mental effort. So if your brain doesn't see someone as important to your survival or status, it may just tune them out. Not because you're cruel, but because you're efficient. Tanya doesn't ignore Belinda out of evil, she simply doesn't need her anymore. Shane doesn't see Armin breaking down, he's too busy protecting his comfort. That's the design, it's a feature not a bug. Your brain tunes out anything that doesn't benefit your survival, status, or pleasure in the moment. It's easier for your brain to rationalize than to empathize. They're just doing their job. It's not my problem. They're just being dramatic. Empathy takes effort. Effort requires action, and action breaks comfort. This isn't just theory. In the 1970s, Princeton researchers ran the Good Samaritan experiment. They told theology students, future ministers, to walk across campus and give a talk about the Good Samaritan. But on the way, those students passed a man slumped in a doorway, coughing and groaning. Would they stop? Here's the twist. The ones who were told, "You're running late," almost never stopped. The ones told, "You have time," were more likely to help. Even people preaching about compassion ignored someone suffering because they were in a rush. Not noticing isn't always malice, it's pressure. It's the brain saying, "This doesn't serve me right now." But once you understand that your brain filters out anything non-essential, you can start to take notice. Kindness too can be a disguise. In evolutionary psychology, costly signaling means showing off your resources by wasting them. A peacock's tail isn't practical, it's expensive, vulnerable, impractical, and that's the point. Only the strongest can afford it. Humans do it too. Niceness becomes a flex. Tanya love bombs Belinda, promises money, and showers her with praise, but what she really wants is an emotional caretaker, a therapist. Belinda doesn't agree to the role, she just gets pulled in. And when Belinda stops showing up emotionally, Tanya goes cold. The kindness? It was never a gift, it was a transaction. Shane does the same, smiling, tipping, being nice, until he doesn't get what he wants. Then his charm becomes a trap. "I've been good, why aren't you giving me what I deserve?" This is niceness with strings attached, and the string is guilt. Costly kindness installs pressure. It triggers your social wiring. I owe them, I have to respond, I can't pull back. But here's the rule. Real kindness doesn't punish your boundaries. If they get cold when you say no, it was never kindness, it was control. The most powerful people don't take what they can't afford emotionally. They don't chase the free lunch that comes with invisible strings, because nothing is ever really free. As the Japanese say, nothing is more expensive than something given for free. The White Lotus isn't just a show about rich people acting messy. It's a show about ancient brains running survival software. It's about primates in paradise, scanning for threat, for status, for safety. Sometimes a polite smile is a calculation, an awkward dinner, a power struggle, a generous offer, a possible hook. But once you know how to see it, you stop reacting automatically, you stop submitting by default, and in a world built on invisible power games, that awareness is your advantage. Your job now is not to win everyone's love, it's to build your circle intentionally. with precision. But leadership starts with boundaries, and most people were never taught how to set them, how to say no without guilt, how to pull away without conflict, how to protect their energy without feeling like a bad person. That's why I created the Gatekeeping Energy Workbook. It's not just a guide, it's a weapon to help you reclaim emotional control in a world built to drain it. Inside you'll find real scripts, rituals, and mindset shifts that make boundaries feel strong, not shameful. This is for the person who's ready to stop apologizing for needing peace, for the person who's ready to choose his circle, the way a king chooses his council, deliberately, without compromise. If that's you, the link is in the description below.